So why am I focusing on Mati in this introduction? Well, let's dig into Captain Planet and the Planeteers number 3, and I'll tell you. Okay, it's Mati, and holy crap! Look at that! Mati is freaking leading an army of animals with his ring! I mean, geez, dude, he's even got the squirrel riled up! I'll show you what kind of power Heart is, you sons of bitches! I mean, not just a squirrel, but a turtle and a bunny rabbit!
Oh, it's no ordinary rabbit! Look at the bones!
But of course, any badassery that may have resulted from this cover is quickly quenched by the pun, Heart Attack. I can sense you all! And then cause palpitation! The Planeteers are testing their powers out by shooting at a floating volleyball. That Gaia is constantly coming up with new ways to test us! Yeah, thanks Gaia. Instead of using their superpowers to put out fires or fighting crime, they get to play around with a volleyball. Your tests are so well thought out. Wheeler lights the ball on fire, just making it more likely to injure someone. Linka comments, not a bad Wheeler, but this will really blow you away. Speaking of blowing. And of course, each team member has to make idiotic puns while they do this. Eventually the ball heads to Mati, who does absolutely nothing, and the ball just falls next to him. Wheeler mocks Mati for it, and he even quotes the often repeated, "What the heck kind of power is Heart, anyway? It's useless, that's what it is. Mati is the weakest one of all. Ha ha ha!" God, you know it's bad when the guy named Wheeler is making fun of you. If this were a normal group of teenagers, they'd smack the asshole upside the head. But of course, they just try to comfort the whimpering little dork while he goes all emo about his power to read minds. Wait, what? He can read minds? The power of Heart lets him read minds? That doesn't make him useless, that actually makes him more valuable! Mati isn't done being emo, though. The only weapon I have is my own heart, and right now that's a very small weapon indeed. Dude, you're a telepath! You can use an enemy's psychology against them! You can find out hidden passwords or strategic information just by looking at them! It's not your heart that's small here, it's your brain! Mati steps up and uses his own powers to pacify the two, forcing them to fall asleep. Wheeler, of course, remains a dick about it. Nice going, Mati! You actually made yourself useful for a change! At least you're good for something! Why did Gaia think this asshole was the one they needed to give superpowers to? We've now seen that in fact the heart power actually has 2 useful traits, but Wheeler just refuses to stop being a dick for 5 seconds. When the kids are no longer tied up and Bleak warns them not to use their powers. Don't even think about using them. You're completely surrounded. And here we see the fundamental flaw in both the show and the comic's entire concept of granting these kids the powers of the elements. We can forgive the inclusion of Heart, stupid as it is. And as a commenter posted in response to my World of Warcraft video, fire shouldn't even count as an element because it's a chemical reaction, not an element of the planet itself. However, we can let that slide for the sake of dramatic license. What we cannot forgive is the complete lack of imagination around the writing, and this scene is a perfect example. Kwame, as we've seen, can summon portions of the Earth up using the power of his ring. Jokes about a small world aside, the planet is really, really big, and most of it is made of rock and dirt, the stuff that Kwame summons up. Why in the name of Gaia's lazy ass doesn't he summon friggin' mountains under all of the terrorists? Why doesn't he summon up rock hands out of the earth to grab them and restrain them? Or let's look at another of the Planeteers, Linka. She has the power of wind. Why doesn't she bring down a force of multiple tornadoes down upon each one of the terrorists, or even miniature tornadoes right in front of their faces, and either suffocate them or knock them unconscious with the force of a friggin' storm? Hell, even Guy could redirect the water pressure of the pipes in the missile base and force it at the terrorists. In fact, considering Mati's ability to pacify them to the point of unconsciousness, the most useless person here is Wheeler, since all he has is basically a flamethrower that he has to direct, leaving him open to attack. Mati considers his options and thinks that maybe he should call on his animal friends to help. Because he can do that, apparently. Yeah. But that would not be fair to the animals, to place their lives in jeopardy. That would make me no better than those who use animals for testing and for warfare. I will spare you all a fairly controversial rant about how utterly stupid that is. So apparently Mati is Dr. Friggin' Doolittle, since he can use his ring to talk to the animals. And of course the animals already know and are perfectly willing to help, with even the raccoon thinking, "Let's go kick some tail." Okay, you get a little bit of the rant. People outside of Disney movies and African gray parrots, no animals think like this. If they were truly this intelligent, there would be no debate about animal rights. They would be giving them all the way. Of course, this comic is an insult to intelligences the world over, so let's just move. Bleak hears a rumbling and, much to the shock and amazement of the entire group, Mati comes a-charging! And now, my furred and feathered friends, charge! Anyway, the kids resummon Captain Planet and he does what Kwame should have done earlier, which is seal up the terrorists in a wall of rock. Bleak manages to run off and Mati pursues along with the deer, which mysteriously vanishes once Mati and Bleak have a battle of wills. Mati uses his ring on Bleak, forcing him to look into the darkness of his own soul. So, what, the heart ring is Wonder Woman's lasso of truth all of a sudden? But the effort required to do so knocks both of them out. In a subplot for the comic series, Vermina Scum comes by the unconscious Mati and places a watch battery or something in his ear. When Mati awakens, he's greeted by the Planeteers and of course Wheeler has to pipe in. I guess you're not so useless after all. Wheeler, I swear to God, if you do not shut your noise hole, I'm gonna shove that fire ring so far up your ass! And just to end the cycle of stupidity, Captain Planet is there too, even though we saw 2 pages ago that he went back into the ring so Mati could use his powers. So really, it turns out that he can come out whenever the hell he wants, and he just likes to screw around with the teenage twits. And so our comic ends with less than ominous foreshadowing of Vermina Scum.